Good morning, Baconton. My name is Sister Gwen Myers, and I'm here today to summarize our Sunday school lesson for today. Now, the title of our lesson is Just Rewards, and the scripture is coming from Jeremiah 21:8 through 14. Just rewards. What does that mean to you when you hear just rewards? I know all of us have grown up with our parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, whatever, giving us just rewards. I'm sure you have heard them say, okay, now you better stop. If you don't, I'm going to get you. And what happens? Do we listen? Because what they've been telling us is a warning. But did they listen? Oh, no. Of course they didn't. They did not listen. They did not listen at all. And we didn't either. We didn't either. And we ended up getting just rewards. I'll share with you one incident that happened with my son and my youngest daughter. Now, he kept harassing her. He kept picking at her, messing with her. And all I kept hearing was, stop, no, leave me alone, stop. So I told him, leave your sister alone. If you don't leave her alone, I'm going to get you. I'm not going to tell you again. Leave her alone. Well, guess what? He didn't. He kept messing with it. So I'm like, okay, I've had it. That's it. And when I went to get him, of course, he's like, Mama, no, let's talk about it. I'd already talked. So now it was time for my action because I promised him, if you don't stop, I'm going to get you. And I did. So look at what's happening today. God has told us what he requires from us. Do we listen? No, we don't. We don't listen. But in this lesson, this is where God had allowed many disobedient kings to continue ruling. But now God forewarned the people of his plan for a harsh discipline if they once again refused to return to him. He forewarned them. Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king, attacked Jerusalem. When he destroyed the city, he was fulfilling God's prophecy. Now, what in the world makes us think for a minute that we can keep sinning, that we can keep disobeying God, and nothing will happen? Don't continue along that path, because God will dispense his just rewards to every one of us. I'm going to read the NIV version. Furthermore, tell the people, this is what the Lord says. See, I am setting before you the way of life and the way of death. Whoever stays in the city will die by the sword, famine, or plague. But whoever goes out and surrenders to the Babylonians who are besieging them will live. They will escape with their lives. I have determined to do this city harm, not good, declares the Lord. It will be given into the hands of the king of Babylon, and he will destroy it with fire. Well, King Zedekiah was like, no, I'm not trying to listen to that. He'd been ignoring everything that Jeremiah was trying to tell him. He equated it to, what do we hear today? That's fake news. That is fake news. And he didn't listen. But now all of a sudden, he wants to reach out to Jeremiah. But the response that he got back from Jeremiah was totally unexpected. Totally unexpected. He said God was going to aid them in bringing about the total destruction of Jerusalem. I'm sure he couldn't believe it. I'm sure he was in shock. God said, no, I'm not going to overthrow the Babylonians. I'm going to aid them in your destruction. God can use anything or anybody to bring about what he wants done. However, God is merciful. Even in his judgment, he is merciful. How do you say that? Did we think our parents were being merciful whenever they spanked us? Did we believe that our parents loved us in the midst of the spanking? I know I didn't. But as I grew, then I knew that the love was there. Because in disciplining my children, I still love them. Even though I'm sure they felt the same as I did when I was younger. You don't love me. That's not true. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't even bother to discipline at all. And that's where they were. God offers us a way of escape. Only if we accept it. And he offered them a way of escape. Through Jeremiah, he offered them a final chance for avoiding the total destruction of Jerusalem and for the sparing of lives. Did they take him up on it? No, because they thought they were invincible. They thought because of their strategic location that no harm would come to us. It'll be okay. And that's what made them slow to even accept what Jeremiah was bringing to them, because they felt protected. You can't always go by that. As God's people today, we must always keep before us that the safest place to be is in God's will, even when it involves disciplining. You can't step away just because he chooses to discipline. You cannot. Verses 11 through 14. Moreover, say to the royal house of Judah, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says to you, house of David. Administer justice every morning. Rescue from the hand of the oppressor the one who has been robbed, or my wrath will break out and burn like fire because of the evil you have done. Burn with no one to quench it. I am against you, Jerusalem, you who live above this valley on the rocky plateau, declares the Lord. You who say, who can come against me? Who can enter our refuge? Verse 14, I will punish you as your deeds deserve, declares the Lord. I will kindle a fire in your forest that will consume everything around you. He had to show them, no, just because of where you are, that's not going to save you. That's not going to save you. God wasn't happy about having to do those things. He was not. We aren't happy when we have to discipline our children or our grandchildren. But we have to. We have to. God issued a final appeal which was directed to the royal house. And there were two expectations the royal house was commanded to fulfill to lessen the severity of God's wrath towards Judah and Jerusalem. First, they must enact justice and righteousness immediately. Immediately. And second, they were commanded to cease trusting in the supposed invincibility of the city of Jerusalem. Come on now. Come on now. The strategic location wasn't going to save them. If they weren't willing to be obedient to God, they were lost. They were lost. They were going to receive their just rewards. We have to remember that it is only by His grace and His will that none should perish, that He delays His coming judgment. He's giving us time. He's giving us time to get it right. And we should. And we should. We need to think about that. But for those of us who chooses the way of life, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to let those who are lost, it is our responsibility to show them the way to salvation. We're all in this together. We really are. We really are. Everything that's happening today, we just need to be obedient. We need to be obedient. That's like with what they're telling us to keep ourselves safe. Shelter in place is being lifted. However, you still need to use common sense. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Social distancing. But for those who think, oh, I don't have to worry about doing that, I will just do what I want to do, believe you me, they will receive their just rewards. And as we go throughout the rest of our day, the rest of our week, it behooves us to be within God's will, to do what He has called us to do. And when we choose the path of life, it is our responsibility to show those who are lost. We need to be that example that there is salvation. And all they need to do is be obedient. Baconton, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. It's been a unique experience, to say the least. And I look forward to seeing you at service at 11 o'clock. So enjoy the rest of your morning.